In grade 8, last videos and all, we saw the microorganisms as a front part. So today onwards, we'll see microorganism as a foe. I think you are clear about microorganisms as a friend. Friend means all those 7 parts we saw, and also we saw the types of microorganisms and all those structure and also useful part. How it will useful in bakery, antibiotic, vaccines, and how it will increase the soil fertility, everything we saw. With that, microorganism as a friend was completed. Today onwards, we'll see microorganisms as foe. Foe means what? Foe means enemy. Here, we know microorganisms will be beneficial and also will be harmful. So harmful means it will cause disease to human beings, disease to plants, disease to animals. So all microorganisms will cause disease to plants, animals, and also human beings. We'll call it as harmful microorganisms. So now look at the slide. Microorganisms are harmful in many ways. Some of the microorganisms cause disease in human beings, plants, and animals. Such disease causing microorganisms are called pathogens. Here you want to remember one important word, pathogens. So what do you mean by pathogens? A disease causing microorganisms all together, we'll call it as a pathogens. So we know the definition for microorganisms, types of microorganisms, beneficial part of the microorganisms. So next you want to remember some microorganisms will cause disease to either plant or animal or even human beings. So which microorganisms will cause disease? All those microorganisms generally will call it as a pathogens. Clear? That will call it as a pathogens. What is the spelling for pathogens? Pathogens. So what is pathogens? Disease causing microorganisms are called pathogens. And some microorganisms will spoil food and also even clothing and also leather. So we'll see what and all microorganisms will disturb human being, will disturb plants, will disturb animals, and how it will cause disease. And these are the some example was given in the structure. Some pathogens. What is pathogens? Disease causing microorganism, generally will call it as pathogens. Now we'll see one by one. So harmful, we know the definition for pathogens, disease causing microorganisms in plants, animals, and human beings, will call it as pathogens. And now look at the second point in your slide. Some microorganisms grow in food substances and produces toxic substances and makes the food poisonous. Food poisoning causing illness and even death. So normally what is doctors or nutrition, they used to suggest that we want to prepare the food and after 1 hour even we should complete our food. We should not keep it or we should not prolong the food for the next for example 4 hour or 8 hour. Afterwards when we are eating means automatically it will get exposed with the air. So we know air contains many microorganisms. We know microorganisms, it's omnipresent. So microorganisms will be everywhere. So when it contact with air means automatically the food, it gets started to spoiled. So when we are eating the spoiled food, we'll get illness, will become abnormal, and sometime when we have a toxic that is a poisonous food means automatically it leads to death of the persons. So if it is a mild level means a persons will be suffer from dysentery and other things, and after taking medicine it will be all right. Sometime we'll have one bacterium that will call it as a botulinum, that will cause a botulism. Even that bacteria, when it is present in your food, it will leads to the death of the persons. So here you want to remember what is pathogen is clear. Now second one is toxic food leads to illness and sometimes leads to death. Not always it will leads to death. Very rare cases. One bacteria, that bacteria will cause a death of the person. That process will call it as a botulism. botulism. Botulisms. Only that bacteria will cause death. Not all those other bacteria. and other microorganisms. Now look at the third point. Some microorganisms will spoil materials like clothing, leather and food, etc. For example, when we wash our clothes, when we not sun dry means automatically it will get some small black color dot like substance in our clothes and also shoes and also leathery materials. Why? All those things are called it as fungi. So properly we need to sun dry all those things. When it was exposed to sunlight, it will kill all those microorganisms. So these are the some examples for microorganisms. Now this is general category. What we saw till now, it is all general category. Now we'll move on to disease causing microorganisms in humans. So we want to see 3 part only in this as a 4 part. One is what and all disease it will cause in human beings, second plants, third animals. So general category we are thorough. What is pathogens, and it will leads to illness or death, and it will disturb the clothes also, leather also, and also wood also. Next we'll move on to the disease causing microorganisms in human beings. So here we know the definition for pathogens. Okay, pathogens. So disease causing microorganisms enter. How it is entering into our body? We know it is omnipresent. So it should comes from air, water, and food also, and when we are contact with other person also will get, and when some of the insects will bite, that time also there is a chance of getting some disease. So what are the sources of entering microorganism into our body? It might be air, water, food, contact, insect. So you want to remember all those 5 entry paths of the microorganisms. Through this entry only microorganisms will enter into our body. For all those things I'll give examples. Okay, so these microorganisms are called pathogens. What is the definition for pathogens? Disease causing microorganisms are called pathogens. And here a disease which can spread from an infected person to a healthy person are called communicable diseases. So what is communicable diseases? If a person, healthy person is getting affected by infected person means, so it is spreading from a person to other person. It is spreading from a normal person to affected persons to normal persons. So this disease will call it as a communicable diseases. So diseases of 2 types, communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases. So if a disease we are getting from a neighboring persons, that will call it as a communicable disease. If we are not getting a disease from a neighboring persons, in our body itself, because of sufficiency of vitamins, sufficiency of some hormones, we are getting some diseases means, that will call it as a non-communicable diseases. Example for non-communicable diseases like your sugar. Some people, now we used to heard our grandmas, our grandpas, or our father or mother, they used to tell, I have a sugar. So what is that? They are affected by sugar means that is not spreading from a person to person. If their body has deficiency of hormone like insulin, because of that only they are getting sugar, and also BP, and these kind of diseases will call it as a non-communicable diseases. And suppose if we are getting from a neighboring persons means, that will call it as a communicable diseases. So this all those pathogens creating, and also what we are going to see some examples diseases, all those comes under communicable diseases. So what are the examples for communicable diseases? Cholera. Okay, CHOLERA, cholera. So cholera is a bacteria and it is spreading through, okay, it is spreading through water. I'll give explanation for that. I have one flow chart, in that you can able to follow everything. So we'll see just example alone now. So cholera, normal common cold, and chickenpox. Chickenpox is it is also caused by virus. Cholera is bacteria, common cold is virus, chickenpox is virus, and next one tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is by bacteria. So here you saw 4 examples for communicable diseases. Cholera is a disease name that is caused by what microorganisms? Bacteria. Common cold, it is caused by normal virus. Chickenpox also a kind of virus. that virus will call it as a, where I'll give explanation. Next one, tuberculosis is a bacteria. Now you want to remember all those 4 diseases is caused by different kind of microorganisms, and some insects and animals act as a carrier to cause some disease, to carry some microorganisms. So maybe because of insect bite also, because of some animals also, human beings will get some diseases. And what are the examples for those insects? For example, housefly, that will also cause some disease to human being. And female Anaphylus mosquito, okay, female, only female, not male. Female Anaphylus mosquito, that will cause a disease called malarial fever, okay, that will cause a disease called malarial fever. And one more, female Aedes mosquitoes, okay, that will cause a dengue fever. So here you want to remember either through air or water or food or contact or insects. I will give the flow chart what are the transmission mode. So here we want to remember what are the insects like housefly and some female mosquitoes, female Anaphylus mosquitoes will cause a malarial fever, and one more mosquito, that is female Aedes mosquito, it will cause a dengue fever. And these are the some examples through which microorganisms will enter into human being, and it will cause so many diseases, Next we'll move on to the next slide. And here you can see the structure of the female Anaphylus mosquito. Here we can see the leg of the Anaphylus mosquito. We can see white and black patches, and even in the body also we can see white patches. So this female Anaphylus mosquito, it will bite means only will get a disease called malaria. So we'll get a malarial fever, and that malarial fever contain what it used to carry. It used to carry a microorganisms called Plasmodium, Plasmodium, Plasmodium. And this Plasmodium comes under a group of protozoa. Already first class even we saw the types of microorganisms: algae, fungi, bacteria, virus and protozoa. So Plasmodium is a kind of organisms comes under which category? Protozoa. So this Plasmodium will be in the Anaphylus mosquito. When it is bite other person, the other person also will get. How it will get the Plasmodium? If a person having a malarial fever that was bited by this mosquito, so this mosquito blood contains the Plasmodium, and it was bited by other person, that person also will get. So through this it is spreading from a person to person, and here the agent is mosquito. So female Anaphylus mosquito will cause a malarial fever. That malarial fever, it is because of the Plasmodium microorganisms. That Plasmodium microorganism comes under a protozoa group. And here second picture we can see Aedes mosquito. This will cause a dengue fever. Here in your level you want to remember the types of the microorganisms alone. So Anaphylus mosquito will cause what disease? It will cause a malarial fever, and Aedes aegypti will cause a dengue fever. And this is how it will affect the persons in their whole system. Only the picture was given. So this life cycle you will learn in your higher class in detail, but it will affect mostly in your red blood cells. Okay, this is your red blood cells, and this red blood cells only the Plasmodium will be there, and the red blood cells will be in your blood, and it was carried out by the mosquito. And this mosquito, when this is a person having a disease and it was carried by the mosquito, and this mosquito when it bite the other person also will get the disease. So this way only it is spreading from a person to other person. So next we'll see so these are the things what we saw in the human beings. So this is the flow chart. It is given in your NCERT book. So this alone I'll finish now. So here you want to remember, I already told tuberculosis. Okay, I already told tuberculosis. Here tuberculosis means it's a disease name. Okay, it's a disease name. And what is the causative microorganisms? So which microorganisms will cause tuberculosis? In general, we'll call tuberculosis as TB. Okay, we'll used to call TB patient. So the TB patient has the bacterium. Because of that bacterium, what bacterium means? Generally we'll call it as bacterium. In that also, when you are coming to higher classes, you will know the name of the bacterium also. We'll call it as Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So this Mycobacterium tuberculosis is a bacteria will cause a tuberculosis disease in a human beings. And how it is spreading? It is spreading through air. Clear? So every year, a report is saying every year 5 lakhs people are getting affected by TB. So through it is an airborne disease. So through air only it is spreading. This bacteria is spreading through the air only. So what is the disease name? Tuberculosis. This whole flowchart is about only the disease which we can able to see in human beings. Okay. Next one we'll call it as a measles. Okay. Next one we'll call it as a measles. So what is measles? Measles in general, Tamil we can call it as a thattamai. What is measles? Thattamai. It is caused by virus. Okay. And this is also airborne disease. Through air only it is spreading. Next one we'll call it as a chicken pox. Chicken pox in Tamil we'll call it as a Chinnamai. Okay, Chinnamai. This is also caused by virus and it is spreading through air and it is contact also. If a person, his father is having, means automatically spread to mother or a child. Like that, if those who are in a family, it will spread quickly. So through contact it will spreading. And polio, we know nowadays the polio is a virus only and it is spread through air and water. And for all those diseases, nowadays vaccine is available. So this vaccine, when we are giving in a proper months, for example, if after a birth, 3 months or 15 days, 45 days, 1 year, 1.5 year, properly, if immunization is taken place, means automatically you won't get these kind of diseases. Now I think you are clear about tuberculosis. Tuberculosis in Tamil we can call it as Kasanoi. Generally we'll call it as TB. It is caused by bacteria and it is an airborne disease. And measles, Thattamai. It is caused by a virus. In general, we'll call it as rubella virus. Okay, it is spread through the air. And chickenpox, Chinnamai, what virus? This is verticilla virus and it is air and contact. Polio virus through air and water. So these are the some disease the human beings are getting with the through the microorganism, through all those mode. So how we can get rid of all those problem? If a person is affected, we want to isolate the person. Isolate means we want to separate. We want to separate the person in a one room. Automatically the other person won't contact with that person. So other persons won't get that disease also. And also we want to have a vaccination. We want to have a vaccination at suitable age. When we have a vaccination, automatically we won't get these kind of disease. Already we know what is vaccination. To prevent disease, doctors used to give a vaccine in the form of injection or in the form of drops. Polio will be drop, remaining and all through injection they'll give. So next class will continue the remaining category. The next class will continue the remaining category. I think now we are clear about the diseases like. Now you are clear about the definition for harmful microorganisms and what is pathogens, what is communicable diseases, and what are the insects will cause diseases to human beings. And we saw only 4 diseases and the causative microorganisms, how it will spread, how to overcome from this problem. Next class we'll continue the remaining diseases. Thank you.